What's up, you guys? In today's video, I'm gonna talk about how one of my tenants got behind $6,500 in rent, what I had to do to overcome that, get past the obstacles that were in my way, how perseverance paid off, and how I got whole. So let's get into the story. How did we end up here? $6,500 behind in delinquent payments. That's $650 for a period of 10 months. I never thought I would find myself in this position. But then again, never thought COVID was going to happen. And here we are. So let's backtrack to 2020 and we'll talk about exactly what happened. This was on the 4-unit building that I bought up in Milwaukee. First out-of-state deal managed by a third party. It's all new to me. And then within probably about a year of buying that place, COVID hits. Now, the first handful of months, things were decent. They were in an okay spot. Most of my tenants were in an okay place in terms of their jobs, in terms of their health. The government was putting out stimulus, and a lot of them were able to get caught up or pay through the bulk of 2020. Then right around August 2020, one of my tenants unfortunately was not able to continue making their payments and just flat out stopped. Now, in Milwaukee at the time, eviction moratoriums were going on, and in order to be eligible for those, you'd have to submit paperwork, and part of the requirement is that you lose your job and then you stop paying. So they're almost incentivized to not pay rent. And here I am, the landlord owner in this case, and my tenant decides that this was the best path in order to get the rent assistance they needed. Now, I stayed mostly hands-off for the most part. Again, I have a third-party manager managing the property, and I'm working through them to work with the tenant in order to get the rent assistance from the government as the program suggests. Now, 1 month goes by, 2 months go by, 3 months go by, so on and so forth, and you kind of get where this is going. Nothing was happening. Nothing was moving. I saw no reasonable chance at getting this money back, and I was relying on the property management company to execute on my behalf. Now, the number one lesson I think I probably took away from this, as in any business and as a landlord, nobody cares about your money more than you do, and you need to actually just roll up your sleeves and put in the work to go get what you need to make sure you're paying attention, making sure you're staying on top of your business. So what did I do? I tracked down the company, or the organization I should say, in the Milwaukee area that was responsible for delivering this aid to tenants for COVID rent assistance programs. I reached out to the one that I found. I won't get into the names because it didn't actually go all that well initially. I called probably no less than 12 times. I left no fewer than 3 or 4 messages. I talked to 3 or 4 people, and most of them were not of help. I got objection after objection or excuse after excuse. I was just getting the runaround. And so I decided to take things a step further. I wasn't going to stop at no. I wasn't going to stop at the obstacles that I was facing. I was $6,500 in the hole at this point, and I needed to get answers, and I was not going to stop until I got them. So first thing I did was went to the website, found everybody that was at a high level within the organization, from board members to CEOs to CEOs, etc. All they had is names. They don't typically have email addresses or other ways to get in contact with somebody that was more superior within the organization. So I got a name. I went to Google. I then tracked down every possible listing for that person in the context of the name of the organization that I could. There's some really good sites for this, like True People Search, or when it comes down to businesses and organizations, there's some other sites out there that'll actually help you get the actual email or contact information for that particular person. I then was able to track down the actual email address for the CEO of the company. Now, with that, I then drafted a very intentionally crafted email to the CEO. And if you've read anything like Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff or Chris Voss's book on never split the difference, or just any of his stuff that he puts out on negotiation, there are several techniques to apply to set the frame and actually get what you want out of the interaction. And so I drafted an email that was designed to do that specifically. I sent it to the CEO that night, and by the next morning I had a reply back from the CEO and a guarantee by them to be in touch with somebody by close of business that day. And sure enough, I got in touch with that person. The point of telling this story is that things don't always go according to plan. Again, I was, starting out in this, thousands of dollars behind in rent payments. I was caught in a hard place because we're in the middle of COVID, and people are losing jobs. People are not in the best of health. But at the end of it, I also need to run a business and also need to turn a profit on these things, because my mortgage payment doesn't go away. All the expenses I have for the property don't go away. And I need to close the gap one way or another, especially if the city is putting me in a place where I can't actually get new tenants in there that can actually afford to pay the property. And even as I try to navigate the path ahead of me, there's obstacles that are going to pop up. There's going to be things that are not easy to overcome, and you need to think creatively and push past those things to figure out how you can get the outcome that you're after and not give up. So as we speak today, the check should be in the mail, and I will be receiving the full payment of back rent plus another month or two for the tenants that are in there, so they can kind of get back on their feet, hopefully find another place that'll suit them, that's maybe a bit more affordable, and everybody will be happy, especially the fact that I'll be able to kind of make the property whole and not be in the hole, which I was, by $6,500. Hopefully this brief story of overcoming some of the problems that can potentially come up, I would argue COVID's been a bit of an anomaly, but nonetheless, things are gonna come up that you can't expect, and all they are problems that need to be solved. And that's the only way to really think about it in order to get ahead in this business, or frankly, any other business. So that's all I got for you today. If you got anything out of this, please smash the like button below. If you want to see other videos like this in the future, click subscribe. Otherwise, until next time.